Good morning, Diana. Welcome to FYI. I'm your host, Red Finance, joined by co-host Sharon Duncan.
Welcome, guys. FYI.
Happy 52nd, Diana. Happy 52nd Republic Day
Republic.
celebration.
Republic.
You're in
Emphasizing Republic.
So, guys, I know that everyone, yes, when we were speaking with persons, everyone was saying that how they're going to be spending the day today. I know a lot of persons are tucked in bed still with the rain.
Or some people are not getting it because we're out all night.
Well,
That too.
strange enough, persons are on our way over here. Persons were still on the streets partying. That's a different age and stage.
That is good to be It's good to be
I'm
outside.
not at
It's
that
happy
age
to be
and
outside.
stage. I'm a little
You're big.
further down that
You're
line.
big, but maintain.
But what are you guys doing this morning? How are you celebrating the 52nd Republic anniversary of Guyana? It's absolutely important that we make note of all our accomplishments as a country,
Indeed.
and
Indeed.
also how far we have to go. We are still getting there, but we have a long way to go before we are truly the people that we want to see.
Many rivers to cross, guys. Many rivers to cross, and quite an eventful 52nd Republic anniversary. And we're going to be covering some of the issues that have made it into the headlines this morning, some of the issues that are trending. But happy, as Judy said, 52nd Republic anniversary to each and every one of us who identify as Guyanese.
All right, I'm seeing some people asking about the audio. We're going to be checking on that right now. So please bear with us. Persons are saying that they're hearing, but they're not hearing clearly. So we're checking on that right now. So guys,
They're hearing.
as that's been tweaked in the back, just let us know if it is clear and when it is clear. In the meantime, I'm sure we had Beatrice Selby on this morning, fired up.
Patiently.
Fired up and ready to go. So good morning to you, Beatrice. Happy 52nd, everyone. Let us know, is it raining where you are right now in Guyana? How's the weather out there today? How are you celebrating? Are you going to be celebrating in bed? Are you going to by family? What's going on, Guyana?
Yep. And wherever you guys are picking us up from our broadcast, we broadcast from the national capital city of Georgetown, Guyana. And it's raining cats and dogs at this time. Do let us know how the weather is where you are. We didn't even, I personally have a chance to check weather. I'll cover our favorite place to touch in with what the weather is going to be, what the weather is presently. But we know it. Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs and whatever they say.
Well,
It's raining
Dawn,
cats and dogs.
I'm taking the feedback. I'm taking the feedback of Dawn Cook saying she's hearing loud and clear, very clear. But then there's some persons that say that they're not hearing clearly. So once some persons are hearing clear, I believe the problem is not on our end. So,
Adjust. Just don't box your smartphone or pelt the television. But try to adjust.
so good morning to you, Dawn. Good morning, Joan Stephanie. Yes, Joan.
Joan. Good to see Joan.
So happy March. I just said happy 52nd Republic. I didn't say happy March. So
That too. Happy
Happy
March. How you guys
March.
marching? It's a holiday at this end. How you guys are spending our
Romy
52nd?
says Romy's at work this morning. We have
Romy there?
Joan. This is John Jones.
Mhm.
John Jones. Nice
JJ.
to have you here with us.
JJ.
Juliet Benjamin watching.
JB.
Remain cold in Canada. Yes, most definitely. But I know a lot of persons. But it's a holiday over here. So Guyanese. When we get a holiday, a lot of persons are tucked in. But for those who are not even home as yet, you don't get home safely. You don't
People
want
work
them-
hard, so you try to catch up on the rest when you get a chance when you have an off day.
Well, the whole notion of mashmani, where celebration after hard work.
But we still work hard in Mashimani.
So,
When you road late,
we're celebrated.
yeah.
Much to be celebrated. The work of our parents to actually get us to the point that where we're at right now. But much yet to be done. So as we celebrate the hard work of our parents to actually accomplish where we are, accomplish the status of a republic and all of that, we still need to remember and take note of how far we are yet to go as a country and as a people. That's most important. Miss Wilson, it's Volme Wilson. Is that I'm saying it correctly? Volme Wilson.
Balmain, that's how I call it. Balmain. Good to see you, Balmain. Good to see you.
Good morning, family. I see Roger Norris is on. Good morning to you, Roger. How are you spending the day today? I know these guys, there's nothing they are not. They don't have the opportunity to spend matrimony the way in which we spend it. But I hope that they can share with us this morning how they are spending today.
Yeah, and I hope you guys take the opportunity to wish your fellow countrymen and citizens, your family, happy Mahashimali and happy 52nd Republic anniversary.
Most definitely, we need to have folks remember family today. I think that when we celebrate as a people, number one is to celebrate with your family. You know, we appreciate where we come as a country, and family is the most important part in building a country altogether. So
Agreed.
that is the
Agreed.
initial institution. So hey, Audrey Ward, BVI is in the house.
The
Hey,
British Virgin Islands, wow. Good to see you. Good to have you guys.
Paula Hicks is with us this morning. Good morning to you, Paula. Guys, where are you joining us from? How are you spending the day? Those are the two questions for our interactive session this morning.
And you know, as we're celebrating our second Republic anniversary, it's in Lucia. We're celebrating the 43rd independence.
Yes.
Independence anniversary. So, respect and manners, big up to all the St. Lucians watching us. And I've learned we have a very sizable audience too in St. Lucia.
Oh, nice. I didn't know.
Yep. So, respect and manners.
St.
Happy,
Lucians need to come through. Let's
happy
see what's
independence,
going on
St.
there.
Lucia. Happy independence.
John Abrams, Happy Republic Day, Guyana. Hey, John, good morning. Thanks for joining us, and Happy Republic Day to you as well. Is it Shelly Mosley? Oh, yes. This
Hey, Shirley.
it's the Mosley crew.
Hey, Shirley. Good to see you, Shirley. The
Good
whole
morning.
Mosley family, the clan.
Good morning, Michael Kingston, Chesney Henry.
Mhm.
You know, I'm learning to call
CHNMK.
I'm learning names, guys.
Chisang.
Be patient with me, but I'm learning these names. Beatrice says it's Queens in the house. You know, Beatrice. We often speak of Beatrice because Beatrice is she's
One and only.
exemplary.
One and only Beatrice. Good to have all you guys here with us.
Joining from Queens also we have Marlon Thomas. Good morning. to
Marlon,
you,
how you
Marlon.
doing, girl? How Queens? You hot, you cold, how you be?
Hey, everyone of
How you
us
feel?
in Queens actually right about now it's cool. That's all the report we've been getting. But we're here in Guyana. It's raining cats and dogs. So we have to drive.
Rainy day, Georgetown. That's karaoke up here.
I have a feeling Charlotte's a little bit sleepy.
Rainy day, Georgetown. Really morning this time. But we make the best of it. We make the best of it.
We're most definitely making the best of it.
And you know what? Because you mentioned that. It's a good opportunity for us to say to the folks, slow down. Because it's wet outside and we know a lot of people are participating in a lot of activities. So slow down, guys. Please. Please slow down out there. Please.
Yeah, definitely the roads are wet right about now. Like I said, it's been raining all morning. So long, and again we made mention of the fact that persons are still out partying. Of course, some persons
Correct.
are now going in.
Correct.
So
Getting the groove on.
have that designated driver in place. Be sure not to put yourself behind the wheel if you've been drinking
Correct.
during the course of the night. These are important things. We keep saying that we have very few people. We're under a million people, so we have to preserve life. That is our number one mission to preserve life.
Please listen. Slow down, be cautious, drive carefully, designated driver, and all those things, especially when the road is wet. Right? You gotta remember your braking distance. If you did the theory, if you buy a book, me another story, but you know braking distance when the road is wet and all of those things, we gotta slow down for. Because for small countries, too many road fatalities, you know.
But it's very often.
One too many, and we gotta slow down. We gotta slow down on the roads.
But I see Raj, the north is actually saying it's 65 degrees, nice and warm today.
In
So-
New York?
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's different over there.
Oh, I'm in New York.
Sherman, everyone
See,
is singing a national
All
song
in New
for
York.
you today.
Now this politics thing, this hosting thing, I walk out. We gotta get fall back. Everything comes back up.
You cannot do backup.
Back
for
up.
singing.
All I'm in New York.
I cannot do backup
That's
for singing anything
Yep.
else. I try my hand at anything else. Probably be painting or something.
Yep. So, again, I don't think we can emphasize it enough. If you know somebody who's out who's still out, encourage them to slow down, have a designated driver.
Yes.
Drinking and inebriating, and they're inebriated. We want to be very, very cautious on the roads. Very, very cautious. I think we can emphasize that enough. Be cautious, guys. Be cautious.
Well, most definitely, I want to just jump back into the comments, Sharon. We had Jean Bond joining us this morning.
Jean, how you doing, Jean?
Jean Devine, is Devine or
Morning, Sister Jean.
Divine Smith? How do you say?
Divine, both, all two. Divine. Guys, if you come up, why don't you share the live stream? And also, we want to see you guys smash that emoji button as well. Share the live stream. And advise somebody to slow down on the road this morning. Be very cautious. You gotta look out for people, You gotta look. When I see some people come, I pull right over on the park.
Yeah, just get in the way.
And park. When I see a bus, I'm far in the back. Or just give them the way.
Yeah, that's what you do. Just get in the way.
Yeah, if there are people blowing on me inside, so just pull over and sit.
I think the ambulance passes at a slower rate than some people.
Yeah,
especially the bus.
Different.
Different on this side, but
Happy Republic. Happy Republic.
52nd. 52 years, Sure, we had the little bit of confusion yesterday with the dates. But it's Republic, it's not Independence, guys. So don't be confusing yourselves and all the persons out there mixing the dates up, but that is not.
Don't get tired. It's the 52nd. Know your math. Ministry of Finance. It's the 52nd. Said we had some well wishes, I think, from some of the countries around the world, our stakeholders, our partners, and so on. And we want to point out one in particular that had some words that if you pass them, you might come out thinking a whole host of stuff. And we're going to touch on that briefly, but I think we got some other folks who are joining us, and I hope that Warnella Garnett. Warnella, how are you doing? I hope you guys have shared the program. Who else we have, Joita?
We have is it Desi Thompson?
Desi, come on down. How you doing, Desi?
That's a Bob Barker. That's a Bob Barker.
Yep. Come on down. Come on over. Come on down to the price. All right.
Price is right.
Yeah, Desi. Thank you, Twitter. Nas Yan is here too. Nas, good to see you. How are you doing? How things where you are? What are you guys having for your Republic breakfast? Not for you guys looking for a free breakfast. There are no free breakfasts, people. I don't feel like. What do you guys have?
I don't feel it's 52 years when I
feel like 52. I feel it.
I don't have breakfast.
I feel like 52. We had a nice graphic here. I think the guys may have missed it. Then thinking between this morning. Huh? I feel like 52. I can't like this particular morning. I feel like 52. Everything said stay in and just relax.
I'm right there with you. Guys, listen to me. It takes a different level of commitment to come out in the rain just to make sure that we're with you. But like we said before, this is a family. We consider the FYI family to be one of the most important families right now. So we're here with you to make sure that we start off the day celebrating our Republic anniversary with you people.
Some of you came in late. Some of you woke up late, coming home late. And so we waited on you guys. We waited on you guys this morning until you were ready, and here we are, faithful.
Yes.
Faithful to you guys, as always. This is how we move. Wait on people.
On the holidays.
Even on the holidays, we out. But as an update, I want to let you guys know, we're not going to have the In the Ring program this evening. We want to give you guys that time to reflect on this hard work we have done and how far we've come, but we will have our podcast.
For some reason, I believe that Sharon is going to be out at the celebration.
Who knows where I may turn up? Who knows?
Well, we'll be looking out for Sharon Duncan. I know you can't go anywhere with someone seeing you and snapping a photo.
I just got to my hat, taking my face and my mask, right? And I carry on. Carrying on. Happy 52nd, guys. 52nd. Yeah. So talking about that, I don't know if the guy brought up but I don't know what's happening. We just going. We have this greeting from the U.S. president.
Oh yes, Joe Biden.
Yeah, on the occasion, of course, of our 52nd Republic Ministry of Finance Republic anniversary, and it's quite interesting. Some of the words that were used.
Yes, so as we see it on screen there, guys, the United States remains a committed partner in working together with Guyana to reinforce democratic values, promote inclusive economic growth, strengthen regional security, and successfully meet challenges posed by the climate crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We look forward to building upon our shared values to collectively address global challenges and achieve a prosperous future for all.
Yep, 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 yep. You know, so some of what got me here is when he says to promote
Inclusive
inclusive
economic.
economic growth.
Yep, that was it.
What
That
is
was it.
Biden hearing?
Well, he's like I keep
What is Biden
saying.
hearing?
We said it before, even at the energy conference
Come back to us, guys.
when those statements were made. We said it before when those statements were made at the energy conference that war leaders don't just come and just throw words out loosely. They have those statements put together after
Every word
a
is
lot of
weighed.
research
Every
is put into
word
that,
is measured.
especially the president of the United States.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
and here is the president of the United States talking about inclusive economic growth, and this is something that we have been speaking about every single day. We're not saying that we're against any aspect of development. We're saying everyone needs to benefit. We're talking about the fact that the people that are not benefiting are paying the cost altogether. And here we have it, the president of the United States come and he is reinforcing the very things that we have been speaking about every single day.
Very much so. Very much so. Another thing that stood out to me as we read this statement issued by the U.S. Embassy locally on behalf of the American government, it's 2 paragraphs long, mind you, which means that every word even it matters even more. Two
Yep.
paragraphs long. But another aspect of it, if the guys can bring it back up for us, is when they go on to talk about some other issues. I think that are very, very pertinent. So, guys, please bring it back up for us and let us have a look at it. Here they talk about looking forward to build our share and collective. Well, before we get there, they talk about the challenges posed by climate change,
Yeah.
how we have to confront that. And Guyana, guys, Guyana is in this unique position where, as you heard, as those of you who are following this kind of thing, when we listen to Vice President Jagdeo, thanks guys. When you listen to Vice President Jagdeo recently at the Energy Conference and Expo, he was saying that I know I can get a lot of flack as or no, he said I after my speech you're going to take back the Champion of the Earth
Yes.
award because there's this delicate balancing act with being good
And all-
stewards of the environment and also a new oil producing
Yep.
state and all that goes with that. And we haven't been able to find that balance, believe it or not, because when we're mowing down acres of mangroves to put the shore base, clearly we ain't thinking
haven't
about
find
the
the
environment.
balance.
Clearly we imbalance.
But there's a lot coming up because persons that have been following the Biden administration, you know that they have a heavy push towards this whole greening, and when it comes to climate change, they're very heavily invested in making sure that they achieve a lot of those goals set by the international standards. Yeah. And by the Biden administration has been speaking about climate crisis and climate change for quite some time. I think that's a lot of their campaigning points that they went into their election with. So of course they're going to come and they're going to be as the United States always is, they try to lead the way when it comes to these things. So yes, very much so. That is a very heavily weighted statement. All those words, every sentence, every paragraph. But the inclusiveness that he was speaking about, that is what hit home the most because he's not the only person speaking about it. He is speaking about it. Mia Motley came. She
Other
spoke
persons
about
as
it.
well.
Yep.
And Judah, if we can put our minds back just a little bit, guys, it was Senator Torres, and I think there was a Senator Johnson who had come here. No, not who had came here, but just early into the Ali regime, had also talked about Guyanese benefiting from the bounty that we have. It was three of them. It was Torres. It was Johnson and Albio Series, I think it was. Series, Torres, and Johnson, Hank Johnson, who had talked again the same issue about having all this oil well and having the people benefit. It was in the early days when we saw the disparity in how they were distributing the COVID cash grants. Remember, lots of persons were left holding that pink slip till they're like, no, other people can't get the money.
Yeah, so we're yet to see the audit report from that one. But most definitely, everyone has been speaking about it, and you will notice that the more developed countries that have gone this way before would be able to speak to the challenges that is before us actually, and they come and they make the recommendations because they're saying, hey, we have gone down this route and we know the challenges, and the major challenge, as everyone is pointed out, is to make sure that everyone benefits from the resources. 52 years we have been here, 52 years as a republic, and the very first time we have the capital resource to make Guyanese feel that development of 52 years. So persons are saying, yes, the people have been here, they have been working, they have endured much, as Mia Motley said. We have endured as a people, and after 52 years, the least we should get with the newfound oil wealth is a balanced
True words
distribution
have not been
of
spoken.
that.
True words have not been spoken at all. And also, well, the question rather that I had, Drita, is whether you saw anything else in that statement as you parse these diplomatic notes.
But if you can pull it back up, if the guys could please pull back up the statement for me, please, because there was a lot said by Biden in that simple statement, and everyone can share. Sometimes we go. I like to love tune into CNN a whole lot when we're looking at when it comes to matters of diplomacy and all of that. And they will take that statement and they would break it down and they would have an actual panel discussion on it. But there you see Biden talking about strengthening regional security. Strengthening regional security. And again, Sher, this goes into
Not to be
even
skipped over, guys. Not to be skipped over at all. Cecile Ogle and Dion Ayana Bibi Sandiford. Is it Sharon McPherson? Not to be skipped over at all. We hope you guys have taken the opportunity to share the live stream. And guys, smash that emoji button as well so that as many persons can receive us as possible. But again, not to be skipped over again, this whole issue of strengthening regional security. What is your reading of that?
But not just that. The first thing he mentioned was democratic values, and he spoke to them, reinforce democratic values. And as you would know, as Guyanese would know, when we talk about democratic values in the U.S., one of their most valued democratic values, the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression.
Come back, Dave. Come
yes.
back, Peter. Come back, Paul. Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah, so as the guys bring us back in, we need to take those words very keenly, because democratic values in Guyana, we are not seeing that.
Yeah.
Sher Duncan is
and you know what? We're going to talk
example.
And a little later on in the program, as we pass another statement, we're going to talk a little bit about those very democratic values which we tend to espouse only in words, but the deeds, the actions, terribly missing. And I really want to thank all of those persons who were up on a holiday, listening to us, who pulled up your coffee, your tea bag, your bush tea, your sweet broom, whatever broom you're drinking this morning.
Still in the bed in Guyana right now.
Wherever you're joining us, so I can see some of y'all tucking, snuggling, your little AC on, your blanket and so on, and y'all saying, you don't get me out of bed today.
That's a very few. A very few have AC on.
Oh, AC, sorry. Your fan in. You got on your fan, you got on your Lasco, and you're watching us. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Ensure. As you say, happy 52nd.
Our friend Chanel Smith-Daniels, she bouged this morning. Just at Corey.
My Lord. Chanel, number one. When you come in and have a seat right here, Chanel, that's number one. Number two, how do you think Curry without us, Chanel? You see why we say some of y'all stink and dirty? You understand? Why? But good to see you, Chanel. I've missed you. Please note, I've missed you. Full stop.
I haven't seen Chanel in a while. For the folks out there listening that do not know Chanel, let me tell you something.
I want y'all know she neither. I very protective and territorial. Yeah.
But Chanel is one of the most hardworking politicians that you can find. Young person on the ground, always very active. And if you know Chanel, you know not to pick a story with Chanel.
Chanel's roots. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting the mic there. Sorry, guys. But that being said, a lot happening. As we said, we have this statement on regional security, and I thought at the end of that statement, Dave, that again re-emphasizing the global challenges,
Yes.
of which climate change again is one of them, was very, very important. Signals being sent to this administration. It was
Left, right, and center.
it was Sarah Lynch in just December, I think it was the 9th or so, thereabout, who issued that statement on behalf of the US government about corruption initiatives that they're looking forward to the administration issuing. Dave, could you bring that back for us? Issuing that statement on wanting to see the corruption initiative. So if you connect the dots, you will see that all the statements that have been emanating from the US government are in sync with each other, and they connect.
Yes, because they know something we don't know. You know?
Yep. Dave, can you kindly please bring up that graphic back for us? Thank you. Please and thank you. Yep. Again, at the end of it, saying that we look forward rather to building upon our shared values of collectivity. Sorry, our shared values to collectively. See when your screen crack up, you got this old tablet here, to collectively address global challenges and achieve a prosperous future for all. Again,
Yes.
harkening back to that inclusivity. It's not for some,
Yes.
we're building it. It's for all, we're building it. Nonetheless, moving on.
As we move forward, I was Sharon, listen, we speak about this because
I'm listening.
not because we want to come out and to condemn and to critique and criticize altogether. A lot of mornings I wish if I can come on this program and give the glorious news that there is this big project that was announced that's going to benefit these poor people in region 6, or there's this big project that's going to benefit the poor people in region 10. But there is no such news.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to come and say? And I am very confident, and based on all the statements that I see coming out from the places like United States, we have from right here close to home, Barbados and all of that, I am very sure that these persons have been listening. They are hearing what we are saying, and they're tuned in, and they agree that you cannot have a population of less than 1 million people and not be able to make sure that every single one of them benefit from the resources.
Yep.
Everyone can say this is not a situation where, oh, well, Guyana, they found this oil, but this 11 million that they got them a little hard to distribute. No, we have less than 1 million people. It is impossible for you to not be able to distribute resources to make sure that each and every one of 52 years later, we need to see this resource that we have now for the very first time distributed so that persons would actually be able to say, after 52 years as a republic, my standard of living in Guyana has elevated tremendously. And that is all we're asking for.
Correct is right. That being said, addressing the nation last evening, we had the leader of the PNCR, Mr. Aubrey Norton, and I think some of the ideas put forward by Norton was very, very timely. And we want to give you guys a sense of what was said, and then we come back on the other side. Here is Mr. Aubrey C. Norton, the leader of the People's National Congress Reform.
It is opportune for the PNCR to celebrate the achievements of our founder leader and former president, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, as we prepare for his 100th birth anniversary in February 2023. He has made a significant contribution to Guyana, mistakes apart. It is to his credit that we have a viable social security system in the form of NIS. It is to his credit that we are self-sufficient in agricultural produce. It is to his credit that he opened the hinterland with a policy of hinterland development, and this is among other significant developments. The goal of the People's National Congress Reform is to have a Guyana that is safe and hospitable, that gives everyone a chance at pursuing their personal ambitions and achieving the goals they set for themselves and family. A cornerstone of this effort must be the removal of the personal income tax. The PNCR wishes to make it clear that as your government in waiting, as part of the coalition, we will remove the burden of personal income tax from our people. We see this as an enduring obligation to you, given the current favorable economic circumstances from oil and gas. And I assure you that we will not stop working for your safety and security and your economic freedom and prosperity. We believe that this will benefit the Guyanese working people in a direct way. February 23, 2022 marks the 52nd anniversary as a cooperative republic. We must not forget that our journey to republican status was a long and tortuous one that started during the days of slavery. In this regard, we celebrate our national hero, Coffee. The early struggle for freedom was not only about liberty and life, it was also about economic freedom and that which was most favorable to our circumstances. The freedom for which we struggled culminated in the cooperative efforts of former enslaved Africans who pooled their money and bought abandoned plantations which they transformed into villages. The economic and social changes that followed emancipation eventually brought us to where we are as an independent, multi-ethnic, and multicultural society that continues to evolve. From our indigenous people to the coming of slaves and indentured servants, we have emerged as a multi-ethnic, multicultural society. As citizens of such a society, we must live and work together to ensure a just society for all Guyanese. The potential we have as a multi-ethnic society will only be realized if there is justice for all and an end is brought to ethnic and political discrimination. While there is much about our journey that we can celebrate and be proud of, we must work to rid our society of poverty, inequity, discrimination, and injustice that are still extant in Guyana.
Yep. Good to have you guys back. Good to see joining us Chanel Ross. Good to see joining us also Jean Noble. Guys, as you come on, as you join FYI this morning, we invite you to share the live stream. And you are listening there, for those of you who stayed with us. So Aubrey C. Norton, the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, who made a statement last evening addressing the nation on our 52nd Republic anniversary. And again, every line of it, very, very relevant to the times. And I think lots of it really, really needed to be said, because you have an administration, a regime that talks one thing, but the actions, as we said earlier on in the program, for those of you who've been with us, the action seems to be lacking.
They've perfected the art of saying the right thing and doing the wrong thing. And we keep saying that, and there you have none other than Aubrey Norton there addressing our nation, actually saying that this is what we should envision as a country. You know, when Mr. Norton speaks, he have this profound way of bringing over his messaging, and persons are locked into what he says, and because there's such clarity, there's no ambiguity, I dare say, unlike so many other persons that go out there and they try to address and they try to say that one thing, but then their actions are completely different. And we did not see that, and we're very thankful for that statement coming out from Mr. Norton and his
And one of my takeaways as we engage the address by the PNCR leader to the nation last evening is the fact that he acknowledged we've had our challenges, whether as a coalition, whether as a government, we've had our challenges.
As a country,
when we open-mindedly and objectively listen to Mr. Irfan Ali's presentation to the nation as well, we didn't see that acknowledgement. It's like we do no wrong. You know, our thoughts are the best, our actions are the best. And part of the presentation, the address to the nation by Mr. Norton that really appealed to me is when he talked about COVID deaths. He said, we don't really want to touch on your suffering as a people to talk about death, because we know people are still mourning. All of us know somebody who we've lost to COVID-19. We've had over 1,200 deaths, but as a very, very small nation, I can talk personally about losing Imran Khan,
Yep.
our comrade, Mundell Smith,
Yep.
who was a broadcaster journalist with tremendous experience. Mundell and I were baptized at the same time, same day in the same pool. That says a lot.
Yeah.
And lots of other folks we lost to COVID-19. And all of us, I'm certain, know somebody, a family friend, a family member, a far off relative, some far off friend, second cousin, somebody
Yes.
who we have lost to COVID-19. And to hear Mr. Norton said, why we don't want to step in on your grief and your mourning, we have to take cognizance that we have not done our best where
Correct.
COVID-19 is concerned. There's lots more that could have been done. Different approaches could have been taken. Here he says the deaths from COVID pandemic have exceeded 1,200 to date. Your personal loss and grief
Yep.
are not to be matters of public discourse, but it would be remiss of me not to register my dissatisfaction with the awfully poor handling of the pandemic and the general mismanagement of our healthcare system. This even more so because Guyana is no longer a poor country. And it's on these programs that we talked about the father in Mabaruma, for instance, who had to fetch his dead son for burial. We talked about the little boy from Little Diamond who was walking, looking for food for miles in a country that is opulent, that is filthy rich for all intents and purposes.
A country that we that the administration comes to us and say, oh, persons are coming here, they're swamping here to invest, and what does that say to Guyanese and about Guyanese when rightly so, Mr. Norton had, and he put it over in very a sympathetic manner, and he was very statesmanlike in his statement. And again, I must say that I commend that statement. It's one of the better statements that we have heard as a people. So we persons that haven't listened to that, I think it's on the PNCR's page.
Yes, correct,
So you
correct.
can go back and listen to that statement in totality. And he did touch on every single aspect that needed to be touched on, because 52 years later, these are the issues that we still have, an acknowledgement that yes, we have had our struggles, but 52 years later, with resources, this is where we are today. Every point that he hit was sung and profound.
Correct. And another aspect for your listening pleasure that appealed to me in the address by Mr. Aubrey C. Norton to the nation last evening is when he says that I wish to draw to your attention the verbal and vulgar and despicable practice of this government discriminating against private investors who hold policy positions that differ
Yes,
from
my
theirs.
gosh.
You have to put this in context of what they've been preaching. One Guyana, but discriminating against private investors who might hold policy positions that differ from their views.
Yes.
We are aware that many local investors have been frustrated, in some cases being prevented from making investments that can create jobs and help grow the economy without depending on oil and gas. This short-sightedness and growing practice of economic discrimination must be condemned and stopped. It affects our ability to build a better, stronger, and more prosperous Ghana for all Guyanese.
And I want to say that when that specific part of his statement, when I listened to it, one of the things that came back to my mind is the fact that we often tell people that the government is going to go out there and they're going to pretend as though there are this huge private sector, they have this huge private sector interest. And I keep making the point that when we say that their initiatives are geared at this trickle down type of economics, and then they're going to the private sector, I keep making the point that when they talk about businesses, they do not include small and medium-sized businesses in this country. It doesn't work like that with them. It is just a little clique, a little gang
The Sioux of this world.
that is benefiting from that. And that is exactly what Mr. Norton is talking about there. He's basically saying that they have a very close group of people that is just utilizing all the resources. They're soaking up every last benefit of the oil wealth, and then the wider community, the wider society of businesses, medium and small scale businesses, is not being benefited. And more so, once they identify you, the same people that is speaking about One Guyana, right here, the 23rd of February 2022, the same people that is speaking about One Guyana is discriminating against persons that do not that do not fall in line. That is what they do. So let us not pretend they say the right thing, but they go and they do the complete opposite. And they oftentimes don't say the right things either.
There's that too. But That being said, guys, we want to welcome those of you who are now getting out of bed, who are now getting home after a long evening somewhere, and all of those persons who are joining us on social media. And Judith is a little closer to the monitor this morning than I am to see some of the persons joining us. But I see, is it Valenti?
We see Kim Walker there. We see is Direct David.
Lakshman Aziz and Marilyn Truman. Lakshman, how are you doing? Good to see you, Lakshman. Good to see you.
Sandra Fassi says, good morning, Sherrod. Sandra, you probably know Sandra.
Good morning to you too, Sandra. Happy 52nd Republic anniversary.
Good morning to you, Denise McKenzie. Good morning. And Dennis is asking how if Guyana's motto has changed, you know?
Yep, it's apparent. It's apparent.
We see a little creeping actions towards that, but of course that cannot be done just like that, so we're not going to just...
It is the motto. Basil Clark and Orvin John Cook. I see Keith Abrams and Kim Walker is here with us as well. Guys, welcome to the program. Those of you again who are now joining us, shift up a little bit here, and we invite you guys to share the live stream. You know, so many of you, because times are tough and things tight, cannot contribute financially to help our program keep going, as we often invite you guys to do. But certainly you can share the live stream, unless you're thieving and you want them by no, you're watching we and victimization, all those things. There's a healthy fear of that out there. People being victimized, because they identify, as Mr. Norton said, with a certain political party, or there's a perceived identification. I perceive that you're supportive of X person or Y person, and there's also and some of that is well justified as well.
But you don't know the extent. You don't know the extent of that fear. Sharon. One of the things that I took note of, and I always encourage persons to utilize whatever method you have of speaking out against wrong. We're not saying speak out against the administration. We're saying speak out against wrong. Speak out against wrong, things that are blatantly wrong.
Well, I think you asked them to speak out against that.
Well, 99.9%, right? Of the things
how have you parsed it? Lots of wrongs are being done out there.
But the point I want to make before you even go on is how people speak out and how people become creative in the way in which they speak out. We have, I've noted a lot of, on WhatsApp, for example, a lot of voice recordings going out and circulating, and so that you can't trace it to any particular person, and they're speaking out against things that are happening in the various ministries. And one of the things I need to note also is even at the office of the opposition, there are folks that are dropping in mails and stuff like that, just basically saying that this is what is going on, look to it. So all of those things we commend, and we encourage persons to continue to feed the information to us in all of those manners, because it's absolutely necessary.
We hear a lot of things, we hear a lot of things.
But the point is that 52 years later, persons are still afraid to speak out. And that's why Biden is saying that the democratic values he's speaking about, you have to be there.
To reach a part of the problem, and our colleague Amanza, who spoke at an event recently, our co-host Amanza, talked about that. People think that elections is democracy. And once that is finished, we've been part of a democratic process, and it starts and ends with elections. But it's deeper than that. I think that is part of the cord that Biden was pulling at, and that Mr. Norton even continued in his presentation there. But as I said, that fear people have is rightly justified, because we cannot detract from the fact that you had hundreds of Guyanese who were terminated from their job.
They're being victimized.
When the administration came in, because again, there's a perception that you look a certain way, you wear certain colors, you belong to another political party.
That perception is so real, and we cannot be in 2022. It is impossible for me to accept that in 2022 I go down the road, and even persons that know a lot of persons that don't follow politics too keenly would see me, and because I look a certain way, they are assuming that I am aligned differently. 2022, 52 years later, we cannot be at this junction. And Amanza, I did listen to our colleague, our co-host, Amanza's presentation that she made at the flag raising ceremony, actually, yesterday, a Region 4 flag raising ceremony. And she was hitting home some of those points. I believe we have a bit of that footage.
But you know what? Just before we go to Amanza, Rita, I want to I don't want to say charge you, but I want to encourage you. On one of our subsequent programs, you must talk about your own experience because she mentioned it that people see you look a certain way and there's a perception. And Jarita often tells about, sometimes taking a taxi and because you look a certain way, people think they know how you vote and they engage in certain conversation, a lot of which is very racist.
Yep.
A lot of which is very racist conversation. You see people, you try to patronize the business, and you don't know in their heart is racism lurking and dwelling in there. And it seems to be the older generation. It seems to be the older generation.
It is always the older generation. And most definitely, I will be bringing some of those comments. But today, on our 52nd anniversary as a republic, I definitely don't want to go down that line because I don't want to ignite those flames in persons right now. Because those things are very disturbing comments that you hear people make at one point in time. I just had to leave. Say stop. I'm gonna come out. I'm not going to continue with this, right? Because you don't know who you're speaking with, but you assume. There's this assumption. 52 years later, there's still the assumption on the streets that once you look a certain way, you should be grouped together and your ideologies and your values and those things are as one. And we have that's why I'm saying that, yes, we acknowledge our challenges. Yes, we acknowledge the fact that we are here 52 years later, but we have to admit 52 years later, we are nowhere close to where we should be. But on that note, I want us to just
Mansa, our co-host.
Go into our co-host.
We heard this presentation by Mansa, and of course we bias. It's we co-host.
It's our co-host.
So we want to share some of that with you.
Today, my brothers and sisters, we no longer wear the shackles of colonialism, but a far less obvious, far more sinister bondage prevails. It is destructive, it is insidious, and unlike the struggle waged for our emancipation, for our independence, or even for our Republican status, it is not one that is perpetuated by persons without. I speak here to the fact that this bondage is one perpetuated within our borders, with we the people, with we the Guyanese people, as willing conspirators and perpetrators. What do I mean? I speak of the ethnocentric political culture, a culture which has done nothing but divide this nation and create particularly amongst the two major ethnic groups, an ethos of us versus them. The result of this has been that Guyana's promise continues to be a dream deferred. Look, at the birth of our nation, our founders knew that we could never reap our boundless resources and embrace our highest potentials if we remained a divided nation. They enshrined our promise in the words of our national motto: one people, one nation, one destiny.
One people, one nation, one destiny. Well said, Amanza. Welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome back to FYI.
Certainly, Amanza deserves a share. Certainly.
Well,
certainly.
Her words, and again, I would say her presentation in complete, on totality, is out there. So I encourage persons to go and look at it also. We have to keep reminding this generation, we have to keep reminding people that we need to move forward in this direction. It is enshrined: one people, one nation, one destiny. That is what it is. That's our motto.
Yep.
And confused.
If I humbly had to give a title to Manza's presentation at Region 4 yesterday, it would have been, I think, Symbols of Nationhood. She walked through several important signposts that says we are a nation and how we should be operating as a nation. And again, reinforcing this point that elections alone are not democracy. I'm watching my subject and verb. Elections and are. Elections are not democracy alone, folks. And it's much deeper than that. So many other things go with democracy. Yes. For instance, if you just put a pin in there, this is the second Republic anniversary since this government has been in place. And we still don't have several important bodies, commissions, entities that are operational, whether it is the Judicial Service Commission, that is important for democracy, whether it's the Teaching Service Commission, that's an important part of our democratic process. And you can name at least 8 or 10 of them, including the Petroleum Commission to give oversight to the petroleum sector.
But I think that what Sherrod is speaking about, he needs to put it out in writing, basically, for persons in the administration, because you cannot go out there, basically, what Sherrod is saying, you cannot go out there and speak of democracy without actually checking off all of these boxes. These are the aspects of democracy. These are the things that makes a country democratic.
Yeah. And
you cannot
especially
go out there
our country.
victimize against persons and speak out against you and say that we are a democratic people. We are one.
When you look at the structures that are set in place by our constitution to uphold that democracy, and several of them are
guardrails.
The guardrails. Some of them,
democracy.
several of them are willfully not being operationalized because you want things your way, and then you come out and you preach democracy in this very limited, myopic way, and then you row with people when people don't see things your way.
Yeah, but Manza, I know Manza's presentation, like you said, what did you title it?
I would say symbols of nationhood.
Symbols of nationhood, and I know she touched a lot on the stuff that even our songwriters wrote about back then. We were leading up. I think it was 1969 that the Song of the Republic was actually written based on Amanza's presentation.
And again, pointing out that even the date for our anniversary of the Republic, of our Republican status, was specific to a specific epoch of our history. It's very, very meaningful. So those of you who can go and watch, I think it's about 10 or 15 minutes long, a very fantastic presentation. Listen, you don't have to be backflipping over everything you hear or read, but just for the substance of it, the historical value, you can appreciate it. For the historical value of listening to Irfan Ali's presentation, and to be able to hear the other side, it is quite important. Whether you are PPP Civic, whether you are AFC, you are PNC, you are up. There are a lot of people who say, I'm not for PNC, I'm not for AFC, I'm for the coalition.
Yes.
It's very, very strange thing. But people say, I am political, I am for the PNC, I am for WPA, I am coalition.
Yes.
Right? So whichever part of the political divide you guys are, right? It is important. It is an important part of our democracy, an important feature in law, that you listen to the other side. You must hear the other side. And that is why we listen to what is happening on the other side. That's why we try to engage our colleagues. Them engaging us is something totally different, which we're going to talk a little later on about too. But I think fantastic presentation from our co-host. Is we co-host, is there right here during the week? Our co-host, Amanda Walton, this year, and that is our bias. We tell y'all, we bias is we girl. Amanda's a girl, which she thinks is we girl.
Yeah, how could we not have
we girl.
The extracts from our co-host on FYI?
Yep.
Morning, right?
But I almost said Amanda. Amanda. That being said, Irfan Ali had an interesting relation last night as well.
Well, I before we go into that, I just want to reemphasize what Sherrod just mentioned, the fact that to go out and listen to all sides. I can tell persons that there is hardly anything that is said by Irfan Ali or Bar Jagdar so that I don't go and listen to, because there's only one way for us to address what is being said. We need to go line for line to listen to what they say to actually make sense of it. And every time I go and listen, I hope that there's something talking there that is going to make sense for the wider population. And I am always disappointed, going and listen to those speeches for me, it's like going on. I'm going to say something a little controversial here, but going and listen to those speeches with hope of something of substance being in it for the ordinary guy. This is like going and watching West Indies cricket sometimes. Disappointment.
You gotta get blood pressure tablets. You gotta get Nutrifos. You gotta get things.
I had to talk that one in there.
You gotta get things.
Apologies, guys, to the West Indies fans.
Yeah. But that being said, there was a presentation and address to the nation by Irfan Ali last evening. And let me say this. Let me give you the kudos first. Let me give the kudos. Right. I think whoever did the production, if it was NCN, I don't think it was NCN alone. I don't think so. I've seen NCN in the past, in the recent past, and yes, them got a lot of work to do there. But whoever did the production, I think I give it B plus.
B plus.
The production aspect of the flag raising ceremony, I give it a B plus. Right? I would have done things a little differently, but I give them a B plus, and it's really hard for me to give you a B plus there. Where Ali's dress is concerned.
Dress.
Right? Yes, because you know Ali has got struggle in this department recently. Right? He came out last night. He was well put together, befitting, I think, a head of state. Whether he's installed or not, we can debate about that. You all know trenches and so forth. We can debate that. But he was put together like a head of state last evening. I don't know, like they fired the last tailor or what have you, but he was put together quite nicely.
He came out. He stepped out.
He wasn't coming out. He was out. He was out last night. I give him A for appearance. I give him A last night for appearance.
Stick a pin there. It takes a whole lot to share down. He's giving everyone an A in his appearance.
I give him an A. The suit fit him well.
I gotta watch Sherry. This is something.
The suit fit him well.
Go on.
Everything else, it was downhill from there. It was all downhill from there. You know, he spoke about to be a successful nation. What does it take to build a successful nation? And he gave 10 points. He talked about attitude, character, the narrative.
Failure on that.
He talked about
character, failure on that.
The narrative.
You know, they have a good narrative on paper, but in practice, failure on that.
He talked about our values and belief systems.
Our values and beliefs do not align when our values and beliefs, their values basically say that persons, that all must not benefit equally. Basically, that has been their practice when it comes to values.
And he talked about, and that was the fourth point, he talked about being objective, setting achievable targets, being realistic. He talked about our governance system.
Being objective.
Hold on.
No. Sherry, please go back from number 5.
I told you everything was downhill from there. Ain't there?
No,
I
want you to go back from number 5.
He said be objective, setting achievable targets, being realistic. He talked about our governance system, positioning our country, and the 10th point, he talked about the people.
Achievable targets.
Right? We the people.
Realistic. You know what we hear about?
Just some of the things.
Achievable targets.
Hold on.
No, but
she's so fired up here.
No, listen to me.
Yes, she is.
I'm listening to this, right? And come on, as a student of academia, come on. We speak about being realistic, achievable target. I'm thinking like you. This guy the speech writers actually went to the SMART objectives.
I thought so too.
I pulled some points.
I thought so too.
SMART objectives, guys. Let's not get into this. Continue, Sharon.
When I heard it for the first time, I thought Stephen Covey, the 7 for highly effective people. Listen, the 10 points for highly effective nations. That kind of thing. You know, 1 year in, you think you got the answers to the problem. But nonetheless, folks, take a listen to some of Irfan Ali last night and take a look too at what transpired there at the flag raising ceremony at the Parliament buildings, public buildings, where Parliament is housed.
Pretty private last evening.
It was pretty private, and we can talk about that too in this whole context of one Guyana. But guys, take a listen to Irfan Ali in his own words.
52 years ago, our journey as a republic began. Along the way, there have been many successes, challenges, and threats. Notwithstanding, and importantly, as a people, we were resilient, focused, and resolute in our desire for a democratic, free, peaceful, and prosperous Guyana. As a people, we have endured many challenges, some self-inflicted, some imported, and some manufactured for a self-agenda. Tonight, I've decided to directly address what is required from each of us as Guyanese to advance this country and create the one Guyana. By now, we are all aware of the potential that exists. We all recognize what is needed to ensure that that potential is transferred into results that will bring a better life for every Guyanese. From the inception, let me be clear, I and my government are supportive of constructive criticism. To advance our one Guyana as a society, we must have healthy debates, exchange of views, and critical examination of policies, programs, initiatives, and plans. However, these discussions must not be based. These discussions must not be based on a selfish agenda, biasness, perception, propaganda, and feelings. Instead, they must be firmly rooted in facts and a pragmatic understanding of what is required in this rapidly changing Guyana. On this, our 52nd year of our republic, I wish to humbly examine 10 areas in which we, as a people, must understand our role, responsibilities, and function. We must address these 10 things at a personal level and ultimately at a country level if we are to pursue the right blend of character and traits that will make us successful people. Firstly, our attitude. What is the attitude required to be successful? Is it a complaining, negative one? Where does such an attitude take us? And what do we hope to achieve with such attitude? If, as one Guyana, we believe in the potential that exists, then we need to exhibit a positive attitude and a positive outlook. The chronic naysayers will find fault in everything we do. With a positive mindset, however, we will work to strengthen every decision and policy to deliver the best possible outcome for all.
Welcome back, guys, to FYI. Again, for those of you now joining us, we encourage you to share this stream. Happy 52nd Republic. And yes, I have been noting the comments. Yes, I have been seeing you guys out there asking us to put the feet on end. But we had to go through the entire speech. Just FYI, we had to go through
For your information,
the entire presentation. But it is absolutely important, like I said, on a very serious
hear the
note.
other side.
On a very serious note, it's absolutely important for us to actually listen to what is being said. We cannot constructively critique what is being said and done if we don't pay attention to every detail of that. So, of course, we just quite a few minutes given there on FYI to air finale, and I'm just I was wondering, Sharon, would the same be done for Aubrey Norton's speech on NCN?
No, because in this one Guyana, only some people get to use the public broadcasting system. It's paid for all of us, paid for by all of us. Only some folks, and yet we go out there and we talk about one Guyana. But again, if we Rita Sherrod, and all the other folks want to build a one Guyana, then we have to be inclusive and we have to demonstrate that. And that is why we've said in our programs, we don't mind a country review. We don't mind because we have to be able to allow our ideas. That's only you can know if your idea is strong, you know. That's the only how you're going to know.
Stand up to
It
criticism.
has to stand up to criticism. It got to stand up to being or attempted to be shredded and pulled apart.
Yep.
And when all that has been attempted and the ideas still stand up, you know, that's a good one.
That is
Right?
absolutely
But
correct.
I would say, given the totality of his presentation, that whoever's his speechwriter, this is not Ali. This was tweaked by Ali. This is somebody else. Too much attention. The whole speech, I will say, was given to critics and naysayers. The whole speech.
But I think I could specifically
The whole speech.
I listened to the entire speech because we have to, like I just said, we have to listen to the entire speech. I listened to the entire speech and I can pinpoint every line that he put in there. I can pinpoint every line that he edited and put in.
A republic speech, like
Yes.
an independent speech,
Yes.
it has to be sore. It's going to be rhetoric. You're going to get in your politics, you're going to get in your red meat and all of that in there in a very tactful way, but it has to rise above everything that is happening. It has to be aspirational
Yes.
as well as inspirational. And every line of this speech was about the critics and the naysayers and the complainers and people who don't like our policies. That was the whole speech.
If we are to be correct,
Not for this occasion.
if we're to be correct, how it is, and we expect, especially when it comes, yes, when we had the budget being presented, for example, let me just go from there. When we had the budget being presented, he came out and he gave a speech, and basically, after all the criticisms was coming out for in the way in which the monies were being dispersed to the various departments and so forth, a lot of criticisms came out from every walk of society. And there he came out after, and he said that basically he was given a royal cost down for anyone that was given criticism to the budget altogether. But that was the budget. You can say, oh, you know, you're trying to defend the budget at all costs. But when it comes to the 52nd Republic anniversary, this was their opportunity. This was his opportunity to get on that stage and represent those words, one Guyana, that they so boldly
I'm happy you said that.
put together.
I'm happy you said that.
Chance to do that, and he did not. He went up there and he went back. He did, and there was some part of the speech I see, like some the speech writers were forcing a little bit of statesmanship into that, but then he could not fight going back to the views out and the royal cuss down, like, here I have a stage, here I have an audience, so I'm going to cuss persons down, I'm going to say, how dare you critique what
even
we're
on
doing.
even on that note, it wasn't much of a stage and an audience, because I'm certain more persons are going to watch Irfan in our program than were watching last evening, because people were too busy being at some place, being out. So when you checked across the networks, very few people were watching this Republic anniversary setting that we have there at public buildings. But what you talked about there is very important. You had a big stage. Again, this kind of presentation has to be inspirational, it has to be aspirational. Yes, you're a politician, you're getting your little red meat, you're getting your jabs at the opposition or whatever else, your detractors and your naysayers and your critics, but your whole speech cannot be dedicated to that. And in actuality, based on what you have said, by the time we got to the third point, they were making on how to be a successful nation or whatever the aim was with these 10 points here. And the third point was the narrative. Ali says, where it concerns vision and their vision, he said, it's in our manifesto. I don't need to state it here. Where else you want to state it? Where else? This is the occasion to state the vision. But what was a little contradictory for me, because you talked about it, he talked about this one guy, and you heard just the phrase creeping in. So I was wondering, is the vision for the country different from this one Guyana thing you're happening? Because if you're talking about your vision, but yet you're sticking in one Guyana, then what is one Guyana? Is that something on the side? Is that a subvision? Is that a division? What is one Guyana in comparison? Because he made this statement, when you get to listen to the aspect where he deals with the narrative, that point there, he says that we do not need to, that the vision does not need to be repeated here. It's in our manifesto. It's very clear. And then you get to thinking, then what's this one Guyana you keep talking about here all the time? Is it something separate and apart from this vision that's in the manifesto? And that to me was the bizarre aspect of it, among other things. I'm gonna drink some coffee now.
Let me just say this. it is hard. It is difficult, to say the least, to listen to the entire presentation, and to get to those little nitty gritty because of the repeatedness of naysayers. These naysayers, these persons that are not interested in
Too much time
in
given to
development.
critics. You can tell.
No, but when you do that, anybody that actually deals with speech and speech writing altogether, when you do that and you keep repeating this over and over, the quality of your speech altogether just disappears because no one is going to remember anything else that he said. Not a soul. He didn't go there.
There were no sound
He
bites to
didn't
be
go
pulled from
exactly
this. No sound
and
bites.
to go and preach and re-emphasize this is how we're going to do things. He went and he spoke, and then he took some below the belt jabs at persons also. Completely ridiculous from a head of state. It was a disaster. I believe. I think effort was put into making it not a disaster, but there we have it. Persons, I want to make this comment. I don't know if it's appropriate for FYI.
Go right ahead.
But
Be our guest.
I'm going to just rephrase it how I have it in my head, but it's going to come out in my mouth a little differently, a little more poise. But you cannot remove those traits from persons. You can remove a person around, you can put them at different levels, but you cannot train their line of thinking and their mentality and their morals
Which
or lack
is
of vision,
which is what I think we saw, Rita, when we looked at Mia Motley, for instance,
Yes, my gosh.
at the International Energy Conference and Expo recently. Here is a woman who leads a nation that, in her own words, I think is 166 square kilometers, this whole island of Barbados. You can fit in countless times over in our country. 166 square miles. I think it's somewhere there. I might be off a square mile or two. But she has an 83,000 square mile thinking. And here is leadership locally, right? With 83,000 square miles of land mass. But we thinking it's still 166 square miles. That to me was the stark difference at the Energy Conference and Expo.
Yes.
And what was represented here as well, because I saw there's a changing narrative. Again, I'm stuck at point 3, this narrative. And there seems to be a changing narrative. They came in with all of these expectations. He talked about lowering expectations. All of a sudden, they were going to give 50%, increase to public servants,
That he demanded.
40,000 old age pension, free education, and all of that. And then here was Irfan Ali saying that can't be accomplished in 1 year, right?
Yes.
It's more like 5 years. But what struck me is that part of the former administration's electoral campaign refrain was give Granger some time.
Yes, my
right?
gosh.
And when you look at the fact that you have that no confidence motion 2 years into that administration and how many things were gridlocked, beyond that process, it was really a stalemate. It was difficult to get anything done. Definitely.
And then they come and ask for,
Right?
for
You
5
definitely
years.
could have gotten nothing done with the opposition that the PPP was.
Yes.
And now these folks are coming to say, give us some time.
Yes.
We need some more time. And this is what was encapsulated in Be Objective, achievable targets. Be Objective was 0.5, achievable targets was 0.6, right? And 7 was be realistic.
Yes.
Right? And Joita, you said it and you continue to say it, that the past administration and past administrations, even the PPP administration, didn't have the kind of resource this administration has to get things done.
Irfan Ali said it.
Didn't have the kind of resources it has now to get things done. But here they're begging for some time. Be realistic. You ain't gonna get more than 7%. You ain't gonna get more than $3,000 increase in old age pension, $100 per day. Achievable targets. Again, begging. Give us some time.
But most importantly, in saying give us some time, he's also saying do not criticize. Do not speak out. Do not come and say you want more. That is what he said every time he hit that song bite of these naysayers. Every single time. Basically, what he said is that we do not practice that democracy here. And when we talk about democracy as the PPP, we don't mean you could go out there and critique us. We are here. When we talk about democracy is what we say it is. That's what he's saying. He's saying, how dare you go out and you critique what we are doing as a government. And yes, we have an issue with that because 52 years as a republic, the least we expect and the least we will demand demand is for our voices to be able to speak out against these
Yeah.
things, for us to be able to critique these things without anyone trying to muzzle us and say, you know what, you have no right to come and critique this.
Yeah, and as I was home early on, the guy sent us the notes and we were going over
Wow.
what we're going to discuss this morning. I thought, us on this side who constructively criticize the administration, constructively praise them too when there's opportunity to do so. How we're living in Irfan's Ali's head and he paying us rent every day. The whole speech just dedicated, just gift wrap
I think that speech was
for the program.
dedicated for Sheridan.
Just gift wrap to us. But again, coming back to this whole notion of asking for more time. And again, you kept hearing the refrain, one Guyana, yet we're discussing the vision. So then the vision for the country, our vision as a party for the country, then what is one Guyana? That was the lingering question in my own mind. But more than that, you're talking about one Guyana, Jurita, but here you are, and you don't even have the common courtesy, the decency, the integrity, the character, the respect to invite the opposition to a national event like the celebration of our 52nd Republican anniversary. You don't even have the courtesy. What kind of one Guyana you're building? And you couldn't even send an invitation. Even if the opposition wanted to turn it down, you didn't even have the character to rise to the occasion to invite the opposition. That was most striking to me.
We can't expect those attitudes and those attributes to come from people that do not have the same values as us. And I keep saying that it is easy for you to go out there and to regurgitate something that a speechwriter puts before you. It's easy for persons to go out there and say, oh, well, this one Guyana, But if you do not believe it, if it's not a principle that you live by, if it's not something that you hold dear in your heart, then you will not go out there and practice this. And that's what we're seeing all the time. We keep saying that they have the ability to say the right thing, but they can't do it because it is not a value that is enshrined in their DNA. I can go out and I can speak about oneness. I can go out and speak against racism. And not once you would see me go and practice anything against what I say, because those values are within my heart, if I dare say. 52 years later, we cannot just go out there and expect persons like the players in the administration to actually go and practice something if they don't believe in it. They don't believe in oneness. They don't believe in one Guyana. Yes, they know it sounds nice. They know that the record will say that they said one Guyana. But then we keep repeating the fact that you can't just say something and not practice it. And that's why they're not going to invite persons there, because they expect that even if they go and say one Guyana, if they invite persons there, or people might believe that they actually mean what they're saying, and they have no intention of people even believing what they're saying, but they just want the records to reflect that they were saying this.
That's bizarre to me. You can stand there with a diplomatic corps in attendance among other dignitaries, and some things to be said of the diplomatic corps not even speaking out against that. But you can be preaching one Guyana, and again, you cannot even invite the opposition to that event. A national event, taxpayers' dollars bought and paid for, but the opposition is not even granted the opportunity to be part of that celebration in your one Guyana that only seems to exist on paper. But a lot of persons have been talking about this and talking about what goes to the core of our existence as a nation currently. If you guys read this morning's Starbuck News editorial, it talks about how Forbes Burnham, for instance,
Yes.
Us being independent as the first country in this hemisphere to be an independent country, and others following very early on in our nation's history. Forbes Burnham convened what would be deemed now as being an influencers conference of writers and artists and people in the arts and so forth, to think about our identity as a Caribbean people, our identity as Guyanese. And one of the points Starbuck News is making in this editorial is it would be good if we had some of those persons now to look at our 52-year history and think, how far have we come, and be able to analyze that and give us their own thoughts on how far we've come as a nation, and perhaps as a Guyanese identity, what have we achieved? And these things are important, because if you have an administration that is thinking like this, an administration wouldn't be trying to coin their own catchphrases, their own motto, as against examining, for instance, How far have we come as one people, one nation, one destiny? That should have been a better examination in Ali's speech last evening. And more than that, to measure it and to say we've come this far and this is how far that we need to go. But Christopher Ram also had some interesting points to make on us as a nation.
And Christopher Ron, for example, he was speaking specifically to the fact of consultation. You know, he was hitting home the point that yes, you are done speaking with the foreigners, you are done speaking with the international investors, and when are you going to come to the people? You have to come to the people when it comes to actually utilizing the resources, because this is what is going on right now. 52 years later,
Thanks,
we are
Dave.
here. We're here as a country, and yes, there it is. You have it. Consult Guyanese on projects funded by their wealth, the Ramted government. And Christopher Ram is absolutely correct. And I want to say that we have been speaking about this, and one of the most important things that we have been saying is that when it comes to the natural resource fund, that particular set of monies persons will never ever be able to identify what projects was funded by that money, because there is no pathway for those monies to be for them to see, and for those monies to be audited separately. So Ram is absolutely correct, and we have been speaking about this all together. So when you're talking about when Ali goes up there and he makes this speech,
Thanks, Dave.
and he speaks about one Guyana and inclusiveness. You know, I often speak about who are the stakeholders in all of this. Who are the main stakeholders in all this? You want to speak about oneness. Who are the main stakeholders in this oneness? It's the people. At what point in time do you go to these people and say, this is our plan for Guyana? This is how these things are going to benefit you. At what point in time do you go and you say, after 52 years as a republic, you, the people, we are coming to you because we want to hear from you. 52 years later, we have gotten, to that point of democracy, that in order for us to craft our budgets moving forward and for us to tailor projects to fit direct geographic locations in our country, we're going to come to you, the people, because 52 years later, we have matured as a country, that we are going to be inclusive, not just in what we do, but in the decision making as to where we move forward as a people by consulting you, the people. That's what we want to hear.
That's how we move
That
forward.
is a speech that we wanted to hear last
Yep.
evening. But
That's
we
how we
didn't.
move forward.
We didn't.
Yep. Unfortunately, my coffee's finished, and that's our time today.
You know,
I think.
Sharon has so much time. But we have one other thing that I want to touch on a little
Go right
bit
ahead.
before we actually move forward, is the fact that we're speaking about this one is one policy, and we the least we expect is one law to govern everyone. And there we had it. I think this morning I woke up and I was scrolling my Facebook page, and one of the things that I touched on was the fact that that there was this video out by none other than James
Oh
Bond.
yes, there's that.
Oh my gosh!
How can I be so presumptuous? Also, before as we head to James Bond, what I should have mentioned too is that in this presentation by Ali, this address to the nation, there was no mention, for instance, of good governance.
Oh.
There was no mention.
There's no interest
There
in
was
good
no mention
governance.
of accountability.
There's no interest.
There was
in
no mention
accountability.
of transparency.
There
either.
is no interest in transparency.
But as
when
we,
you speak about things, the lack of speaking about it, the lack of mentioning it and bringing it into your speech is basically saying, not saying it, the silence speaks volume. Let us just be honest about that. So when you don't speak about it, it's because you have no interest in it. So that is what it says to us. Not speaking about it says that you are not interested in it. And we are to interpret that no other way.
Correct is right. And as Rita said, we're discussing this whole concept of the notion of one Guyana. But when you listen to James Bond last evening, you really have to examine that. And it comes, as we've been saying here, there's one thing to talk the talk, but to walk the walk is different.
Yep.
James Bond. Yep. We have some trouble there, but we're gonna try to fix that and
I
bring it
think
back to
we're
you.
trying to get our audio aligned properly because what James was saying is absolutely important for persons to hear. I don't know if the guys can assist us with actually getting a
But
good audio up.
I know Judah had a chance to listen to it, and what was taking place there. James Bond was arrested last night, and one of the contrary things that we heard coming out of James in that live video is the fact that he's being arrested for breaking curfew laws, while the curfew laws has been lifted, but the regulation concerning curfew.
Well, that is the most bizarre thing ever, and yet, and that's why.
And as we were coming over to the studio, there were other people outside partying.
Well,
5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's what I want to speak of because when the notice was put out to the public that the curfew was lifted. Actually, there was a curfew from 12 to 4 a.m., 12 midnight to 4 a.m. And the announcement came that the curfew was lifted, and at the bottom there had a nice a nice line that says happy matrimony to all the Guyanese.
Correct.
Basically saying we're lifting this curfew for you to go out there and to do whatever you want to do at those throughout the night. So it is quite strange that I woke up this morning and after that speech last evening of one Guyana and all of that, for me to be hearing James Bond saying, and that's what I wanted. I wanted you to hear from his own mouth that he was actually saying that he is being arrested for breaking curfew. Which I want to know if it's a twilight zone we're living in.
You better left my brother James.
What is going on in this country in which this morning, even on our way to the studio, there are several businesses that had events last evening. Persons were still out and about and sporting. So how is it that James Bond is being arrested? For breaching COVID curfew. What is going on? So these are the things that we talk about. But again, persons say, how dare you speak about this, How dare I see this as an issue?
Do you have it, guys?
I don't think we'll be able to get the footage in, but persons can go, I think it's on James Bond's own Facebook page, so persons can go to his page and actually take a look and take a listen to that. Also.
And consider whether we have one guy in this country. Really and truly. That's our time, unfortunately. But as we talk about James and the other events that are happening, we know events might still be happening during the course of the day into tomorrow, guys. We want to advise you again, be safe on the roads. Drive carefully, be safe on the roads. Arrive alive.
Well, that should be our
arrive alive.
That
arrive
should be
alive.
our
arrive alive.
Theme every single day as persons go out into the road. Just arrive alive. Make sure that whatever you do, your practices as a driver, it coincides with the basic rules and guidelines of road use. Don't go out there. You're never too late to not be able to arrive at all. Don't ever think that you are so late that you have to be speeding and then you don't arrive at all. So be very careful. Naomi Drucker that's out there. You guys be careful. Andrew Cusbert, be very careful out there. Pamela Dover. Yes, Pamela, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I know persons will go out there after the show.
Thanks for sharing breakfast with us.
I haven't had breakfast yet, but I'm definitely going to be having some Guyanese style breakfast after.
She ain't going Marriott today. She ain't going Texas today.
I can't afford Marriott.
Guys, and as you go, as you go, guys, ensure you share the live stream, share the program, share FYI, and you guys, we want to see those emojis as well. Thanks for spending this time with us. FYI, we don't have any night program this evening. There's no In the Ring. We're giving you guys that time to spend with family and to relax, to rest. After some of y'all done woke up yourself, y'all need a rest to get to work tomorrow. So we're giving you all tonight off, but we will be having our podcast at 12, and we're going to continue our discussion on these and other issues below the belt at 12. Please join us then.
Yes, guys, and as we close, I just say my last words will be happy 52nd Republic Anniversary Guyana, and make sure that you celebrate as one people, one nation, one destiny.
We sound like those tacky shows in unison. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe.